We're going to start off talking about the impact of moving to Division I from a university perspective and the community, students, and so forth. But before we do that, I just want to say a couple of things. So when we look at UC San Diego, we should all know we're moving to the Big West Conference. Everybody knew that, right? Now, as far as the program itself, we have 23 sports, 600 athletes, and I want you to take notice. We say 600 scholar athletes because that's a focal point for us with the academics, and our academic standards aren't really changing as we move to Division I because that's a big part of our identity. So we'll always refer to our athletes as scholar athletes. And actually it says Division III until 2000 straight up. And then in 2019, we've been a Division II program, so this is our last year, which happens to be our 20th year, and I'm extremely happy with what's happening this year because our teams are doing really, really well. Our men's basketball team is 22-1. Women's basketball is 18-4. Softball right now is 7-0. Baseball is 5-0, and men's volleyball and women's water polo, I'm pleased to say, and you guys are hearing this first, we are undefeated, meaning we're 3-0, which isn't a lot, but still. We're undefeated versus Pac-12 schools. So we beat Cal in women's water polo, and we beat men's volleyball at UCLA and USC. We're getting scholar athletes that have a higher level of athleticism as a result of moving to Division I. So we started recruiting in the last two years or so, looking at D1 athletes. So we're getting much better athletes in that regard. Last year we finished second nationally in the Learfield Directors Cup, and that cup is given to the best overall programs when it comes to their athletic success. And that's out of 300 or so schools. So we had a great year last year. We're hoping for a great year this coming year. One of the things I often talk about in terms of athletics is like two overarching themes I like to say for us. The first is we really look at athletics as a laboratory for personal development. I know everybody focuses on the games and competition, but what we really do with those 500-600 athletes is to work on their personalities. And when I say personal development, they learn a lot from sports, which you probably should know if you're interested in sports. So the idea of working hard, being on the team, how to set goals, how to deal with victory, how to deal with success, those are the things they learn through sports. But we also go a step further by providing leadership workshops. We do a lot of things to help them from a personal standpoint, whether it's the mental health screening. We essentially serve as surrogate parents for the student athletes, so we do a lot when it comes to the personal development. And the other piece is I want you to look at this as a takeaway. Athletics is more than games and competition, okay? Remember that. Athletics is more than games and competition. Clearly, it's the focal point. Clearly, it's the vehicle that brings everybody together. But you'll see as a result of our presentation that we have an impact in a lot of other areas that's not related to games and competitions. So I'm going to turn it over here to Danielle because she works a lot with our students and how this relates to what I said earlier, that athletics is more than games and competition.
We're going to talk about 4 different areas today, and I mentioned it. We mentioned it in the description. We're going to talk about how the Division I impact is seen from a student perspective, the university, meaning staff and faculty, the community, and alumni. Number one, the impact that we're seeing on students is that it's elevating the UC San Diego student experience. A few things that are happening right now on campus that we're incredibly proud of is that we are seeing a heightened sense of pride, community, and affinity to the university amongst our student our student body. We see it as a healthy social outlet, meaning these opportunities to come out to athletic contests on a Thursday or a Friday night. Triton Tide is an affinity group for students that has been around for a while. I graduated in 2003 and I was a part of it. But we've had an opportunity to rebrand and survey students to see what they want, to help create that sense of affinity and belonging when you come to games or even when you're doing service outreach together. We've been able to revamp this group with benefits and already have offered exclusive travel opportunities for those who want to become members. In November, we took a bus of about 100 students up to UC Irvine for the men's basketball game. Everything was free. It was part of their membership. We gave them dinner, tickets, a shirt, and then bussed them back. They were home by 11. So we thought that was a fun outing for students, especially living on campus and not having vehicles. It's a nice way to meet new people and gather around UC San Diego. We've been offering more tailgates and Triton Fest for these students who want to be a part of it, so food opportunity, things to that nature, and Triton gear, seen as the shirts that we handed out. Those are exclusive shirts just for Triton Tide members with the fight song on the back. One area that Earl and I know are very proud of, in the past we've had student employment opportunities seen in the athletic training room and external relations and communication. But because of this move and because of a couple of the partnerships we've created, including the one with ESPN3, we've seen an increased number of student employment opportunities in marketing, communication, video broadcast with ESPN, and video production. And we included this shot right here if you haven't seen our production suite. Every ESPN game that we put out, which I think is going to be around 60 in total this year, is all produced in-house at RE/MAC Arena in this suite. So whether these students are receiving hourly wage or if they're getting academic internship credit, we're able to offer it to our students.
Yeah, the university aspect is a huge one for us, but before I do that, I just want to touch on the production studio that we have on campus in our RE/MAC facility, because we're the only one that has that within the Big West Conference. We've actually become a model for the rest of the conference, that they're trying to get all the schools to do what we're doing. So, and that just ties in with the way the university works in terms of the pursuit of excellence, innovative, creative. We're setting the standard when it comes to our conference in the production studio. And the funding for the equipment for the production studio was provided by one of our alumni athletes. So the alums are a big part of what we do moving forward. So when we talk about the university, you know, the sense of pride, the community affinity to the university, I think at this campus in particular, more so than many campuses that I'm aware of, you basically have a minimum of 9 very distinct cultures here. And when I say that, I'm talking about this, well, I guess it's 10 now. I forgot we have 7th college coming. So you have the 7 colleges, then you have the main campus, then you have Scripps, and then you have the med school. So you've got 10 or so very different groups. And because of that, you have a lot more separatism than you would find somewhere else. So athletics can help bring the campus there. We can tell the story. And this is a big part, I think, of us moving to Division I. I think you would all agree we have a phenomenal university, but a lot of people don't know about us, particularly east of the Mississippi. We'll be able to tell those stories through the commercials and the advertisements that we'll do on a regular basis, and we'll be able to do that on a national and global scale. We also try to incorporate the faculty and staff in terms of special nights, appreciation nights, where they can utilize our suite so we can have some bonding. The ESPN halftime interviews, you know, we had the chancellor on there, and you know, it was funny right before that because the chancellor and I were talking. He was asking me a lot of questions about being on this ESPN. Was it going to be on our big scoreboard? Because we have a 50 by 50 scoreboard. I said, no. Is it live? I said, yes, it's live. Is it local? No, it's national. So we went into a bunch of things along those lines. ESPN has a viewing population somewhere between 2 and 3 million. So obviously that's a big platform for us. We provide a lot of family-oriented experiences, whether it's through the Triton clubs that we have, or the clinics or camps. So we do a lot when it comes to the university, as stated here in front of you. And then if you look up in the top corner there, that's a future point guard for us moving forward. That happens to be Danielle's daughter, so she's working on it.
I knew that picture. Everyone would be okay with that picture.
So that's some of the things from a university perspective. And the community impact, this is huge. So the community impact, there's a lot of different areas. One of the things we're really going to focus on is the La Jolla and North County area. And I think you would all agree, if there's something that we're missing, that we shouldn't be missing, it's connecting with the community. And we're in La Jolla. Being Division I, that's going to make a big difference. We already know a good example, we're selling season tickets for next year. We've sold out most of, not season tickets, the floor tickets. We've sold out most of those, and they're from people in the community that want to participate in what we're doing. So looking at UC San Diego being the home team for La Jolla and North County. The competition between USD and San Diego State, I meet with those ADs once a quarter. We just met a couple of days ago for breakfast. We talked about playing each other in basketball and creating some kind of synergy there. And I love the idea that we're in the Big West. I personally think from a community perspective, we're going to get much more of an impact playing those schools on a number of sports across the board, so we're looking forward to that. The family focus, inexpensive outing, I like to say inexpensive outing, cheap date, whatever phrase you want to use. It's a good way from a social standpoint to be engaged. And then the community partnerships. We have a ton of community partnerships. We have a list of some of those in front of you right now. We generate somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 hours of community service with our athletes throughout the year. So we're having a very positive impact there.
The one on top is the Adopt a Family that we do annually. So all the scholar athletes come together and adopt 14 families along with our department, the administrators. And so that's just one family and a couple scholar athletes who they had an impact on. On the bottom left is our Dig for a Cure partnership with Susan G. Komen. This was at a volleyball game, hence the dig. And then you'll see the picture. This is a photo from this year's game against San Diego State at Viejas Arena.
And then the last piece, the Pacquiao relationship. Pacquiao is one of the largest companies when it comes to ticketing for events. The ticketing is one aspect, selling them, but the more important piece for us is the relationship that they can help us develop by gathering data on the individuals that attend our events so we can stay in contact with those individuals. So that relationship is going to be real important for us as we move forward.
And then lastly, and why we're all here, right, the Division I impact on alumni. So the big thing is it strengthens alumni connections. And we've been talking about this for quite some time, but I'm incredibly excited to tell you what we've seen this year and how we've seen these connections strengthen. So you've heard this 3 times already: sense of pride, community, and affinity to UC San Diego, right? Through the move to Division I, we've seen a heightened national and global exposure of UC San Diego, and Earl spoke to that, around the ESPN3. But also, it's a gathering point for Tritons everywhere because of that ESPN partnership as well. The games are at your fingertips. If you're not living in the area and you want to host a watch party, you can do that at your home. You can do that at a local bar and just have them pull up ESPN3. It's quite exciting. In addition, the Big West demographic is a little bit different than what we're used to now currently. We are focused in California and with games in Hawaii, but also we're playing more athletic contests nationwide. We're looking at areas such as New York, Washington, D.C. We're working with the Alumni Association to see where our folks are, so we can bring UC San Diego in a different way to them. And then in addition, playing top-level Division I teams at home. So already for next year on the docket, you might have saw the Cal release. We are playing Cal in men's basketball. We also have Duke coming, Stanford, Oregon, and Penn, just to name a few, and there'll be plenty more coming.
And to add on the alumni engagement piece, I'm making a concerted effort for the next several years for sure to travel with the alumni office when they go to New York, D.C., San Francisco, L.A. to tell the story about what's happening with our program. Because I think it's a real exciting time for us, without question, to bring us together. The ESPN is a home run. We're the only one, as I said earlier, within the conference. This year, we're the only one as a Division II program that's doing that. So it's a great time for us to really connect with the alumni and tell the story, and just to create that family environment that we aspire to in the athletic program as well as the university as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we talk for years now. Earl and I have been talking about it's coming, it's happening. What we are so excited to report is it's happened. It's happening right now, and we most recently experienced it last night. But on Friday, January 17th, our men's volleyball team beat the number 3 team in the country in 3 sets. UCLA. Last night, we took down USC in 4 sets, 3-1.
And when we think about these things happening, we're really just getting into the D1 game, if you will. Now, men's volleyball has actually been Division I because from a national perspective, that's the one division. They don't have enough schools to do 2 and 3. So they've been competing at that level. But we just started, was it you, I think, that asked about the recruiting and how that's working? We just started getting those athletes that for volleyball that I'm no longer looking down at. I'm actually looking up as they come in because they're 6'4", 6'5", 6'7". So we're in a very different place. As far as my vision and looking forward and looking to the Big West, I'm predicting that during this 4-year period, and there's a 4-year period where they call reclassifying, where you're not eligible for NCAA postseason championships, and that's more or less to make sure you're doing the things that you need to be a legitimate D1 program, but you're still competing on a regular schedule. You still have other postseason opportunities. My thinking is that within that 4-year period, we'll probably be somewhere in the middle of the Big West Conference, but by the time we get to the point where we're eligible, which is 24 for postseason competition NCAA, we'll be in the top third of the conference across the board. So I'm excited about where we're headed. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully I'll see you at an athletic event. Thank you.